Hello, and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Front Door, the show where we explore the world of real estate and connect with our industry experts. I'm your host, also from Golden Bear Home Inspections, Joe Romaine, and today we have a special guest with us, Michele Milam, and she has how many years of experience did you say?
So that's a trick question. I evaded your question earlier today because when I say to you that I've had 6 years as an agent, you would go, "What? I don't want to interview somebody with 6 years as being an agent." So what I can tell you is 6 years as an agent, 30 years in this field. So I started off as a loan officer working for Mortgage One, did that until I became a mom, and then I did a lot of title work. I became licensed in title, did the processing of title work, did the closings and that kind of stuff. And then lo and behold, when I turned 50 years old, I said, you know what? I want more of a schedule where I can meet people. I don't want to sit behind the desk anymore. I want to go meet the people.
Yeah.
So my 50-year-old goal was to become the realtor. And my first year in the business, I sold 40 houses.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So I've had a fun journey, and now I'm 56.
Yeah, that's
So
fantastic for a first year agent.
well, I love it. It's my passion. It's my baby.
So welcome, Michele. We're
Thank
glad
you.
to have you here. You kind of told us a little bit about yourself. Now, what's the name of your company?
Canary Realty
Canary Realty, and that's located where?
in Washington
In Washington
Township.
Township, okay, which is in Macomb County. So then, so the real estate market right now, especially, is constantly evolving. So could you provide our listeners with an overview of the current market trends and how they can impact buyers and sellers?
Sure, of course. So I would say number one thing is when you say our market, that's superiorly important because our market is just that. A lot of people will watch the news and they'll hear about sales are slow, things are awful, interest rates are making it impossible to buy. And then you go to a local board like Bob Taylor over at the Grosse Pointe Board. He puts a video out every week and he tells us our exact numbers. And it's like, lo and behold, we're doing very well in this area still. Houses are still going at value, if not sometimes a little above value. Yes, it's slowed due to interest rates, but our area has a lot of cash buyers. A little nuance that's happened lately is I'll get a first-time buyer and I'll knock at the door with cash. And I'm like, how's this happening? Well, the parents are loaning money and then the kid's going out and getting a mortgage once he gets his offer accepted. I've had all kinds of little things that have happened, but our market is still moving. Now, was it the same as it was a year ago? No. It has slowed down, but that was some COVID build up there. That was low interest rates helped, and that was something that just kept it flying, just going. So we've had a little bit of an evening, a slowdown, but there's still plenty of work out there. There's still plenty of sales out there. It's just maybe doing business a little differently because some of the homeowners aren't going to be selling right now because they have those low interest rates. So that is taking the market a little bit there. But what we have now is we have a whole entity of baby boomers that are selling their homes and moving, either downsizing or moving into facilities and stuff. So that's, I think lately a lot of my businesses come from that avenue. So I've had the first time buyers have, kind of perked up a little. A lot of the banks are offering where if you do buy a house this year, they'll refi you within 1 year when the rates go down. So there's some neat programs out there, and I would be nothing without my lender partners.
Well, that's definitely some good info to have. I have not heard a lot about that in our side of the industry. So,
Right.
So many people value local expertise when choosing a realtor. So what do you believe is the key benefits of working with a realtor who knows the local market?
Number one, find a realtor that you align with, that you have the same principles. Again, the internet is the greatest tool we have to date that I can think of where you can actually put your parameters of what you're looking for and it'll spit out a pretty good match. It's almost like a dating app. You have to date your realtor in a sense. It's got to be somebody that you're comfortable with, somebody that you feel confident in, somebody that has negotiation skills, but also an honesty and empathy for what you're doing because there's no two people are alike, no two real estate deals are alike. So as far as being an expert, I like to say to myself, I've decided to focus really based on just a few communities here in Macomb County. It would be wonderful if somebody called me up with this beautiful $1 million plus listing in Oakland County, but that's not me, and I don't try to be something that I'm not. I'm very comfortable here as a Macomb County realtor. I do tap into the Royal Oak market a little bit because a lot of people that come from Shelby, Washington, have children, my kids same age, that have bought their first time homes in that Woodward quarter. But technically, or what I would say not technically, but often enough, they'll move back north once they have children, once they want to be closer to grandparents, once they want bigger closets and garages and lawns. So I do follow a few people over to the west side that I know are going to come back. Does that make a good sense?
No, that absolutely makes sense. And there's a lot of people going to the west side of the state, or not even the west side of the area, but the west side of the state as well. So obviously having relationships in the real estate industry is very important, especially with your clients. So how do you tend to nurture your client relationships when you're working with a client?
Yeah. So that number one, again, client relationship is everything. My first thing that I noticed is the first thing we would all say is, okay, what kind of closing gift are we going to buy this? And I'm kind of working the sale backwards, but I always thought about, okay, these closing gifts. And I'd come to my little closing with my gift all wrapped up. And then I thought, how is this really helping anybody? I decided at that point, my closing gift would be breaking bread with my client. So typically what I do is I start at breaking bread and I end at breaking bread. So if I'm going to meet someone, maybe it won't be bread as the sense, but we'll meet at Starbucks ahead of time. We'll meet somewhere, have a cup of coffee, interview each other. A lot of agents are told to get the buyer broker sign where you sign and says, I'm going to only shop with you. Yeah. I don't ask people to do that for me. I ask people, if you want to fire me, you want to get rid of me, I don't want you with me because I want to earn your business and always have that line of communication going. So we meet usually, like I said, at a Starbucks, get to know each other. I interview you, you interview me, and I don't put anybody on those automatic drip campaigns for houses. If I send you a house, it's because I've either gone to that house, I've looked at that house, I've previewed that house in some way, shape, or form, and I feel like it meets your needs. You're too busy for me to put you on a drip campaign. You can do that for yourself on Zillow. I need to do the work and earn the commissions. So my number one thing is interviewing each other, getting to know each other. Next thing is being super cognitive of your schedule. I know that a lot of people go, I want to be a realtor. And I say, great idea. Just make sure you want to work nights and weekends because that's our number one thing. So my social life, my fun life, everything transferred to this being my social and my fun life because I had to, if you have a concert tickets at Friday at 7 and there's a new house that hits the market, you got to go look at that new house. So for that reason alone too, I'm kind of picky on how many buyers I take at one time because when you're with a buyer, it's like you're on call because you got to get there. So that kind of works. So I'm always cognitive of time, cognitive of their time. They're normally most people want to look at houses, like I said, on nights and weekends. I've had a fireman that likes to look at houses early a.m. So I just always want to make sure you can meet their schedule and you identify it ahead of time. When is the proper time? Then what we do is we take time to negotiate and find your pain points. I always try to make sure at the sale, both the seller and the buyer feel the win. It doesn't matter which side I'm representing. I had a buyer just yesterday ask me, well, do you think we can get more off on the house? Well, what's more off? Another 500. I say, really? Do you want to be in a closing room where people don't like each other? They offered this was fair. We had some repairs that we needed to make. Let's all come to the table at the right place. So I think it's very important to make sure all parties feel heard in the sale. And working with the other agents is to me just as important as working with my client. I try to have the best reputation with working with the other agent. I need that other agent as much as hopefully they need me.
Yeah, and I see that in the inspection side too, where it's beneficial if the two agents are working together.
Exactly.
And we work with some first-time home buyers, so we see the fear in your eyes, especially at our point of the process. But I know you work with first-time home buyers, and there's hopefully going to be some first-time home buyers watching this episode. What are the steps basically to a home buying process if I came in, kind of new to this?
I am so glad you asked that because a lot of people think it's go find the realtor. I would say go find the realtor is somewhere down in step 3. Step 1 is to work on your own personal credit. Step 2 would be to hook up with a lender. And when I say hook up with a lender, I would say I really, truly love dealing with banks that have first-time buyer programs. There's government programs now. And whenever people hear the word government program, they tend to think, oh, it's a handout program. No. There's some government programs that actually, if you take a class prior to buying your home, they'll give you some money towards it. Or if you take a class prior to buying your home, you're eligible for a lower interest rate. Those are the programs I'm talking about right now. So most of my first time buyers, I make sure that they are hooked up, know the programs, know what's available. There's houses in certain zip codes that are eligible for rebates and such as well. So I would say get your lender, get your credit, get your lender, get your first time buyer programs worked on. Again, they're online classes. They can be done anytime. They're pretty simple. And then I would engage my realtor. And then I would engage my inspector. Inspector's part of the team for sure. And then list of contractors after the close. I provide my people with lists of proven contractors that I know will show up and do a good job.
Okay, that's a great rundown of the process. And yeah, the amount of times where people I know personally go running out thinking they're going to buy a house and they haven't gotten pre-approved, and it's like, hold up, go get pre-approved.
Yeah.
So then, now you mentioned obviously in that step was a home inspector. Again, it's no secret here. I'm a home inspector. So selecting the right home inspector is crucial. And I'm not always saying that I tell everybody we're not right for everybody. But what criteria do you recommend to your clients when they're choosing a home inspector, and how do you assist them in making the solution?
Okay, great question again. So I give out 3 names. And I noticed too, another thing in growing with my career was, maybe you didn't feel like you needed a home inspection. Maybe they talked me out of saying they needed it. Now I'm like, oh no, everybody needs a home inspection. And if you say you don't want a home inspection, I actually have you sign a form that says I'm not liable if you don't get a home inspection. That's the one thing that I really learned the hard way, that, hey, this is super important. Sewer scopes, I'm going in a different order here, but like a sewer scope, people don't think about that. We need sewer scopes. Mm-hmm. Mold, radon, those kind of things people don't think about. They just think, oh, I turned the lights on, the lights work, I looked at everything, it looked good. But there's so many hidden things. And I always tell the buyer, we agree to pay the price, but then after your inspection, we may be negotiating again. So the inspection, if it's, somewhere near $450, $500, whatever it is, that's money well spent. I look at home inspectors that will provide my clients with sample reports, what they can expect. I like a home inspector that actually drags the client around the house and says, this isn't a thing for buying this house, but this furnace filter, this should be changed every 6 months, if that's the thing. But I like that type of inspector. So before I even, I've never met you before today, but before I even wanted to do this interview with you, I wanted to see your background. I noticed you would check all my boxes if I was hiring a home inspector. Your website had samples, you've had reviews. I look for people that have great reviews. Nowadays, it's the number one thing. I don't even spend a dime on advertising if you're not going to have great reviews, right?
Yeah.
So that's to me the number one thing. And I always say to my people, I say, here's your 3, and I'm going to give them to you in order that I like them, right? So yeah, home inspection is everything.
And then, and home inspectors and realtors have a very unique relationship in the field too. I mean, we obviously have a relationship, but yet also, there's also that worry, like realtors would be relying on these deals for commission if a home inspector comes in and raises an issue. So, like, can you express the importance of a good communication and relationship between a home inspector and an agent?
Sure. Well, of course, no one wants to ruin the deal, right? So just like there's bad realtors, there's bad home inspectors. And unfortunately, I'm sure you've ran across a bad realtor. I've ran across a bad home inspector. To me, a bad home inspector is when he's just completely frustrated and goes around and puts blue tape on every single thing in the house. Well, again, age of the house needs to always be talked about. If you're buying a 60-year-old house, you're going to expect it to come with 60-year-old problems. They are identified, and that doesn't mean the 60-year-old house is a bad house, but I have had a couple of home inspectors that, in my mind's eye, they feel like they're looking at new construction. Maybe they haven't been in the field long enough. Maybe they aren't truly like a builder themselves. I always like a home inspector that can actually perform the trade or is a builder, has some of that background, can actually tell my client, I'm not going to be able to quote the job, but I'm going to tell you it's going to run you about $500 for that. That's music to my ears when you can give me a price of what this small repair would be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just I always tell people, no house ever fails a home inspection. I tell them, I get them like, well, is it going to fail? I'm like, no house fails a home inspection. Everything's fixable.
Right.
There's only one house in my entire career where I said the fix was a match.
Oh,
So only one house was like that. And just some data back on what you mentioned earlier about all the different inspections, um, the standard home inspection is important, but a lot of that stuff is stuff everybody's already seen and tried to take care of. But the hidden stuff that you mentioned, the data is any home over 20 years old, 70% of them have a sewer line issue. And then radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer behind cigarette smoking. So it's a prevalent issue out there. Now on the flip side, we've looked at buyers. So what advice do you have for homeowners who are looking to sell their property?
whew. Sellers, they've had some fun lately, huh? They've been in the driver's seat for a minute. It is switching, of course. I would say clean sells. I always get that phone call, should I replace all my windows? And I'm like, no, why would you replace your windows if you didn't have new windows for yourself? Um, I would say be realistic. There's public information that helps all of us. So I would say we're going to look at the public information, be cognitive of what that is, but clean sells. I would take a clean 30-year-old home over a dirty 5-year-old home any day of the week. Those listing tickets that say original owner, and I can see the AC and the furnace are newer, maybe the roof is newer, but the house looks like it's from the 70s. Oh, that's a home run.
Mm-hmm.
That's a nice house.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, we can tell that right away.
Yeah. Okay. And then now also, hey, we're in 2023 now, so technology is obviously playing a significant role in transforming the real estate industry.
Yes.
So how do you see technology shaping the future of real estate? How do you incorporate it into your work?
That's an excellent question again. I don't know who you got these. Some AI going on? No, I'm joking. But so exactly. Artificial intelligence has entered the real estate world. Write-ups are getting more colorful. They're doing a great job. We have the ability to have people sign for $1 million house or a $40,000 house from their kitchen table now, just with a click. That's DocuSigns are being used now. We have virtual staging being used where virtual staging is super nice, especially for new construction because, you can't picture it and we can show it in the different phases. I do a lot of new construction where we've used virtual staging. Again, with the Facebook, any type of Instagram, Facebook, all of the platforms, you need to use them all. If you're not using them, you're really taking away a major tool. A lot of great tools too is we have the ability to use the clerk records are online nowadays. You have BSA is online of your taxes. All of these online places, you really very rarely have to leave your desk to be able to put together a great offer. So by the time the person's coming in your front door to buy your house, they've pretty much already decided. It's like having that phone interview and that 2, 3 phone interviews and that final interview is just to make sure that you don't show up looking offensive. That's what the house is at this point. By the time the buyer walks in that house, he's decided or she's decided online if they really want that house, and it's just maybe making sure, and then it's there. So you need to make sure impeccable pictures, impeccable online presence, honesty is number one when you're doing this. I had a listing on a major busy road, and I told the photographer, please do not make sure, or please make sure you can tell that this is not in a forest because it was a listing I took over that didn't sell. Well, the people by the time they got there were so frustrated to learn it backed up to a major road. So I didn't hide it. We sold it within the weekend, but we were very honest about what we had to offer. So people weren't frustrated.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes I wish there was some honesty in listing photos. We had one before the client called me and she's like, I just want to know if this is a house we should fix up or tear down. And I'm looking at the listing photos. And I'm like, what are they talking about? This place is great. That photographer should have won awards.
Yeah, I understand.
You walk in, there's like OSB for ceiling tiles. It was crazy. And then with technology now, then I don't think anybody's got a full grip on AI because it's just going so rapidly. I know we're part of a nationwide organization of inspectors, and we're constantly talking about how is AI going to fit our fields and how are we going to hop on it, as soon as we can. So, yeah, it's such a ever-changing landscape there. So now every industry has its challenges. So what are some of the common challenges that realtors face?
Whew.
And how do you overcome them in your day to day?
So I think most realtors feel that there's too much competition. That would be what I hear all the time. I want to be a realtor. I love houses, but there's too much competition. Well, there's competition in everything. You stand out and you win by being the best, showing up every day. Um, I would never discourage anybody from getting into real estate that felt like there was too much competition. Again, just try your hardest, show up, be impeccable with your word, and it'll come together. I truly believe it. The next thing people go is lead generation. Where do you get your leads from? Oh my gosh, that is a question that I get asked all the time. And I would say they happen organically. I never stop telling someone I'm a realtor. My best sale to date, not the most profitable, but the best sale I ever had was two people were shopping at Target in the patio section, and the one said to the other one, "Hey, let's get out of here. I'm sick of looking at patio furniture. We don't even have a patio." Ha! I said, This is a true story. I kid you not. I said, I can change that. I can sell you a house with a patio. And she says, "No, you can't. Our condo, we're upside down in our condo. Can't happen." I says, "Huh? Where do you live?" They lived in Shelby Township, newer construction condo. And I said, "Would you mind if I tried?" "Sure, no problem." I went over there and I said, "Okay, we're going to package this. I'm not going to make money off selling. Of course, we're going to have to pay the buyer's agent, but I'll make my living getting you into a new house." I've sold this couple 3 houses, and I've only been a realtor 6 years. We're having a great time. We just, they've been doing this renovation houses too, where they buy them, live in them, move, what have you. But I mean, I'm telling everybody, if I'm going to TJ Maxx, one of my favorite stores, because I also do home staging for my clients, if I'm at TJ Maxx and I'm seeing something and I got a whole cart full, I'll have somebody walk up to me and say, "Oh, that's really pretty. What are you doing with that?" I say, "I'm a realtor. I'm staging my houses." I'm telling everybody I'm a realtor. And I'm shouting that out. And that seems to have worked well for me. I think lead gen needs to be something you're doing all the time. Phone calls too. When I got in this business, it was 100 phone calls a day. And you're saying, "Well, who are you calling?" We're doing circle calling. If you're going to have an open house, well, how do you get your first open house? Well, I would go to an agent who's seasoned that says, "I don't feel like working a Saturday and Sunday." I would say, "Hey, would you mind if I hold your open house open?" "Sure, of course." Then I'd say, "Okay." I'd spend the next couple days before that open house telling all the neighborhoods, "Hey, we're having an open house." Very rarely do you not get somebody that maybe they feel sorry for you, but they say, "Hey, I remember you came by, you were hustling, you wanted to give us overview of the neighborhood," and you can usually get business from that.
Yeah.
So I would say the lead gen would be number 2. The competition would be number 3. I would say partnering with a mentor, because people think getting your license is the hardest part. I would say getting the license is the easiest part. I would say the hardest part is figuring out what to do next. And a lot of realtors don't like to be in competition. They don't want to tell you what they're doing because you're competing with them in a sense. And I always say, don't try to compete with somebody. Try to use them as a goal model and a role model. Be like them in a certain way. So find that person that you respect in the field, whether it's at a small brokerage or a large broker, and ask to mentor them, shadow them, ask to volunteer. Whatever you can do to put your hands in real estate, whatever it costs you, get in front of the right people just by being around. There's lots of classes, but the only thing I can say is make sure you don't go to these classes that they have at a hotel that want to charge you money. You don't have any money to spend right now. You haven't made your first money in real estate, so go for free. Find a top producer that needs help, that needs an assistant. Myself, I was on a team, and I highly recommend a team. It's the best way, in my opinion, for you to learn.
Yeah, I've heard that from other agents too, just starting out, being on a team. And you mentioned the one client of yours, kind of, how they bought renovations going up, which, is kind of a good segue into our next topic. So, I mean, real estate obviously can be a fantastic investment opportunity. So what advice do you have for individuals who are looking to invest in properties, whether for rental income or long-term, investments?
So I would say with that individual, you have to find the right realtor, because I have just a couple investors I work with. You can't be the investor realtor to everyone.
Yeah.
Because who are you loyal to at that point? So I have a couple realtors that reached out to me and said, I'd like to let me know about your investments. And I'm real honest. I say, no, sir or ma'am, I won't be, because I have people I'm in a partnership with. You need to find the realtor that's honest with you, that's going to put you number one for these investments, or going to listen to your needs. So that would be my number one. Number two is real estate is a long game, not a short game. It's just like any type of gamble. You got to be willing to lose, win a little, but it takes time. Theoretically, real estate pays off. We've only seen one time in our history where real estate slipped a little backwards. But we righted that ship, and I think lending practices have changed. I don't feel like that's going to happen again.
Yeah.
But,
Absolutely.
For investors, it's definitely the right relationships is key.
And then the one client story led us to this topic. Is there any other client success stories that are memorable to you that you want to spotlight at this moment?
Oh, geez. I mean, I think every day I have fun, so it's hard to pick like that one thing that makes you have the most fun. But I took a couple that was in the original house for 30 years, and they came from a different country, and they needed me to try to make the house look like what people around here want to see sometimes. And I took these old treasures and I literally staged that house so beautifully with their old treasures, and they didn't even know that it could look this way. But this one backfired on me. They ended up loving their house and staying. So I made zero money, but I can get coffee anytime of day or night from these very wonderful people, but it did backfire. I staged the house so beautifully using their own items that they ended up staying.
It was almost like a real life love it or list it situation.
Yeah, it really was. So that was called an epic fail, but makes the heart feel good.
Okay. And then before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners, or any upcoming projects or initiatives you're involved in that they should know about?
Well, I always am willing to take phone calls from anybody who needs a mentoring or something of that regard. I would never charge for that. It's my way of giving back. So I always like to put that out there whenever I do anything. I've done it with many of people that have come to me and said, hey, this is my first time as a realtor, so I enjoy doing that. I have a listing that's going to be hitting the market that's really, really rare. It's just right around $3 million, and it's going to be in the village of Romeo. So that is an exciting piece of property that I can't wait to share. Maybe my next time I'll be able to share it with you. It's getting some final touches going on in that. So those are the things I've got going on. I get a subdivision in Chesterfield that could use a little love. It's kind of first time buyers area. It's about 22 Mile Road in Gresham. So those are my projects of the day. My ask for the day, as you will say.
All right. Is there any contact information you wanted to give or anything?
I can give you my cell phone number, which is usually the best, and it's Michele Milam at Canary Realty, and my cell phone number is 586-495-0957, or you can email me at michelemylamrealtor@gmail.com.
All right. Thank you, Michele, for
Thanks
these.
for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining me and giving us these valuable insights today. It's been a pleasure having you on Beyond the Front Door. And to our listeners, we thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Beyond the Front Door. Goodbye.
Thank you.